Aloha, everyone. This is Nicki, Kyohoho, CEO and co-founder of the DSWA. I'm so happy that you're with us tonight for this free class. And next time, make sure you invite all your team because we want them to take advantage of these free classes that we do every month. Normally, it's on a Tuesday. This month, we had to do it on a Monday because I'm flying all day tomorrow and I wouldn't get home in time. So it's going to be really good for you tomorrow or for every month to get on here and share it with everybody that you can, because we want everyone to get as much opportunity from these classes as you can. So tonight we're talking about, do you feel like you're speaking another language? Sometimes we talk to people and we're thinking, what's going on? They're not understanding me or I'm not understanding them. And we say, do you feel like you're speaking that language? Well, how do you hear? How do you hear other people and be heard by people with different personality types using DISC personality profiles? That's what we're talking about tonight. And I see a lot of people. I love the Olympic Peninsula, the Washington. I'm a former Washingtonian. So glad that you're here. We have Laughlin, Nevada, Southern California, and Texas, Virginia, New Jersey, of course. Lots of different places people are calling in. Augusta, Georgia, you're kind of close to me tonight. And Calgary, Canada, Ohio. So lots of different places that we're calling in from tonight. So thank you again for joining us. So take out your pen and paper because we want to make sure that you get your questions answered and that you get what you want out of this workshop. So we're going to rock it out right now. So, moving your team from well-trained to taking action. Interesting. Direct selling has been a training profession for many years. We've trained and trained and retrained and trained again. And sometimes we keep training and nobody's doing anything. So what are we doing that for? So the idea here is it's not just training, it's moving people into action. And remember, if you've been around us with coaching, if you combine your training with your coaching, average retention and application of what you've said is 88%, significantly different than just training. So you can train till you're purple. If there is no action being taken, nothing's happening. Nobody's making money. They're not making money, they're probably not going to stay. And not just money for you, they're not making money for themselves and for their families. So the whole idea is to move people to action. So finding out what action they're committed to taking. Don't be afraid to ask that question. Don't be afraid to find out what they're going to do with what they've learned tonight. Like, here's a little idea for you. Just get little 3x5 cards. And after every training that you do, ask for their wow. What are you going to do within 1 week? Ask them to write it on that 3x5 card. And then to share it out loud. What action are you going to take within 1 week? From what you learned tonight, what will you apply? When will you apply it? Because if we don't ask that question, it's just information. Many of you have heard me say this before. Information does not create transformation in people. It doesn't. Information does not create transformation. What creates transformation is applied information, meaning action. They do something with it. You know, I work at a lot of conventions around the world and spoken thousands of times. And it's interesting because I always like to end, what are you going to do with what you learned here? What action are you willing to take? What action are you committed to taking? And I almost always end with that because the whole idea is if there is no action, there are no results. And by the way, the company notices that when they spend all this money for speakers to come in to do an event like this, whether it be a Zoom event or a live event, they want to see results to get a return on their investment. Well, if nobody's taking action with it, they go, oh, that was nice, or that was fun. Or, oh man, she was funny. Oh, that was really entertaining. People ask me all the time, Nicki, are you a motivational speaker? And I always say, no, because motivation does not necessarily create results. It's like spraying sunshine on people and it sort of falls off after you're gone. So I'm more of an inspirational speaker who can inspire people to have new thoughts and new action. So no, I'm not the motivational one. I'm the one that moves people to action. And if the company gets a return on investment, then we get to come back. And they see value in bringing good trainers to you and to your company. So the whole idea here for everybody is got to take action. So let's start with that. And what is that going to look like now? What's next for you? So this is a basic little thing that is a chart that can be used to teach people about behavioral styles and DISC. So I'm going to talk about this for a minute. You want to draw it on your paper, you can. If you've been in coach school, you've seen something like this before, and we have a great class that's coming up, a two-part, a whole thing on DISC training that you're going to hear about that will support everybody, and you'll get handouts with it and all that. So here is the basis of DISC profile. And you know, this last year during COVID, I did a lot of extra self-development so I could be better at my craft or what I'm doing. And I became certified at the highest level in emotional intelligence, and I became certified at the highest level in behavioral intelligence, which is DISC. And I learned a lot. And I learned there's so much more that we can teach you. So I'm excited about sharing all this with you, and I hope that you'll do it. Some of you have heard about DISC, and some of your companies, you have a lot around DISC that you talk about. Just because you know your style doesn't mean that you know what to do with it. And that's what we're going to cover tonight. And in our two-part series, we're going to go into in depth. So the whole idea is we're talking about, are you more outgoing or more reserved? Now, sometimes in our personal life, maybe we're more reserved, we're more outgoing. But this, I'm going to ask you to take it from your business life, You can either be on this upper part, circle a number here. If you think you're a 5 in outgoing, you're probably having a hard time not talking, and sorry about that. But maybe you're a 5 in outgoing. Maybe you're reserved, and maybe you're a 2. I don't think we have any 5s here. They wouldn't want to show up because it would not be, they wouldn't like that too much. So nobody here's a 5 in reserve. You're someplace on this vertical axis. So circle a number. Let's say I circled 3 on outgoing. Now, going across here, we're either task-oriented or people-oriented. And again, there's nobody that's a 5 that's a task-oriented because you'd rather be in your cubicle in the dark. So you're one of these other numbers, either here on the task-oriented, or you're more people-oriented. So 0, 5, which one is it? Let's say you circled a 3 on people-oriented. If I draw a line between this number 3 and this number 3, that little triangle ends up being in the I category. You end up being in the I category. Now, I'm going to tell you what each of these means. So write the words down, and then you can come back and know that the word, sometimes people think, oh, that word, dominant, that I'm not dominant. They don't want to think about it like that. You're decisive. You're a doer. D is dominant is the key word, but you're a decisive doer. You're very direct. You speak in a direct tone, but you get things done. You don't let grass grow under your feet. If your primary, if we connected, is in this one with the 3 and the 3, was an I when we connected those two, you're an influencer or influential. So you have fun, you like energy, you like change, you like excitement, you like awards and recognition. There's a lot of things that you like that other people maybe aren't as excited about. So for you, know what you are, and so that you can get more information about this and figure out how to relate to other people. So D was dominant, I is influential. If the triangle that you made connected these two, people-oriented and reserved, this is a steady person, steady. Just for you to know, in the direct selling space, about 70% of the people are steady. But a lot of companies don't speak their language. They don't talk to that steady person. A steady person is reliable. They're dependable. They want peace and harmony. Steady people, you can count on them. But I'll tell you what, if you have a drama or dissension within your organization, steady people will walk away. Doesn't matter how much they were making. They'll walk away because they they're very uncomfortable in that space. So keep peace in your organization and make sure you communicate well when you have a lot of steady people. Um, Over here are the C's. These are the people that are reserved and task oriented. The C's generally are cautious people. They go to companies that have a science background, generally, or nutrition. If there's a lot of, they want all the studies. They want to know that it is proven. They don't make a decision to join your company in one setting. They want to go back and read and do all the rest of the things, their due diligence on the company, because they're cautious. C people, your accountants are C people. Sometimes people in finance can be C people. If it is a bank president, he's got to either have some I or some D and some S, a little more well blended to get along with all the people. But C's, we wouldn't have building standing if we didn't have any C people. The cautious people want to do it right. There's either black or white. There is no gray. There is no gray. It's right or it's wrong. There's nothing in between. So you want to be exact when you're talking with a C. You can't baloney a cautious person. Well, what I think the answer to that is they already don't trust you if you said something like that. Versus, I don't have that answer right now, and I want to make sure it's accurate. So I will get back to you within 24 hours. And then don't make it 26 hours, make it 24 hours. They wrote it down that you were going to call them back in 24 hours. They're very good at taking detailed notes. So these are the different kinds of people. Now, I'm going to say this because we all have our own language. There are words and questions and things that we say that support us to communicate with somebody that sort of is like that. So, but before I go there, I want to take a minute to talk about things that are giveaway, because if you don't have this assessment, you might not know what to look for in that person. So if a D came into a room, they walked in to meet with you, the D will look where they're going to sit and they'll go directly there. And they walk briskly, very good posture, standing straight up, not a whole lot of expression on their face, but they know where they're going and they mean it. You know they've arrived. The D shoes are a very functional shoe, an expensive shoe, a nice shoe. They're not run over. There's no holes in the bottom. They don't have any glitter. I'm just telling you, zero glitter and zero little rhinestones. They're not that, that's not them, but nice shoes. So a flat or a heel about like so that has maybe a Ferragamo or some kind of shoe like that. Nice shoes. That's a giveaway. So D's look prepared. They sit straight. They don't cross their legs and swing their leg. They sit pretty straight. And the actions that they use are bottom line. Let's just cut to the chase. You know, I've got a half an hour here. What do you want to tell me? They don't mess around a whole lot. The I shoe definitely has some rhinestones and some glitter, even no matter if they're very, very painful. They could be very, very painful shoes, but they're going to wear them because guess what? They're cute. We love cute. They like bright colors. They like, especially bracelets. There's one company, the whole room was eyes. It was a jewelry company. And I kept having them raise their hands. It sounded like jingle bells. Every time, ding, 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 ding. It took 10 minutes to get those bracelets all stopped. But they love jewelry, bright, shiny objects. So those are giveaways. Eyes talk fast. We are, and use a lot of inflection. Our eyes move a lot. We have a lot of facial stuff going on. And we like to talk with our hands. Those are kind of giveaways for eyes. They're not in a black or navy suit unless they have a bright blouse underneath it. They like a lot of color. I'll say we, because I have some eye in me. The S's. So S's are those steady people. They love comfortable shoes that are not going to take up, they don't want to be in torture. They like elastic around things, elastic in the pants, you know, and like they would love Birkenstocks. I mean, that'd be a really nice Birkenstock S shoe. So the S's are, they don't need to be out front. They like to be a little more behind the scenes. The steady people have a quieter voice, a more moderate pace. They'll look at you and talk to you and they want to be with you, but they're not going to be the one that's going to run up to you and say, I'm so excited to see you. That would be an I. The S's don't do that. You'll scare them if you do it. So find out a little more about of who these people are when you get to know them so that you can speak their language. The C's, straight lines, not a lot of fluff. You don't have a lot of lace. They depend on bows on their bra. I mean, I think that they're pretty subtle in how they show up. Shoes are a nice pair of shoes, but functional. They might have 2 or 3 instead of 20 pairs in all different colors. See people, you can count on whatever they say, they've thought about it. They are very logical people. And when you say to them, well, how do you feel? They're going to tell you what they think because they are thinkers. The D's and C's are thinkers. The I's and S's are feelers. So, and what words do they use? D uses words, like I said, what's the bottom line? How long is this going to take? They want to be a little bit in control of the conversation. The I's, it could take hours to be with that person because they like to talk and they love to be with people and they get entertained easily and they laugh and they have fun and you got to build a relationship with them. S's, it's at a more moderate pace, everything. And words that an S would use would be, I really don't like conflict. I just like to get to know people. When you ask an S tell me about yourself, they tell you about their family first. If you look at S's, a lot of times their heads are sideways like this. That's like, I want to connect with you. That's an S kind of look. And the C words are, the facts are, the process is, what is your system? Those are words that they use. So here's a simple way to remember this. You've got this little graph down here. D's speak Dutch. And the D's have their own language, their own words. The I's speak Italian. The S's speak Spanish. The C's speak Cantonese. You can't speak Italian to the Cantonese and have them follow what you're saying. And same with the Dutch, they're not gonna speak Spanish. They're gonna have their own little language. Now, this is a big thing in great big letters, right? It's up to us to adjust. We know more than they do about different behavioral styles. So we must adjust to other people. Now, some of you are thinking, I don't want to always be the one to adjust. Well, guess what? If you don't, and they don't know how, you will never have great communication. And here's an interesting news flash. IDs or DIs almost always marry SCs because the I can't find the checkbook. The C balances it to the T. The I can't put together a cabinet, but they'll work at it till they get it and it stands when it's done. So it's very common for IDs to marry SCs. Then we marry them and we want to change them. And we stop speaking their language. So if we're not speaking their language, we are not communicating well with them. And, I know that people can act a certain way for a limited period of time. That's why I really strongly believe in dating for a long time. My husband and I went together 5 years before we got married. I knew exactly who he was. And he has a lot of S. He's primarily S, some C, some I, some D. But his S, he's very steady. So I don't say to him, hey, today, if you have some time, can you run over to the store and then drop this off the dry cleaner and then go over there and then do it? No. How much spare time do you have today where there's maybe a few errands that you could run? He'll say, oh, I've got about a half an hour. Well, I've got 2 or 3 things. How much time do you think you'd have to do? I mean, it's like planning. They plan things. Eyes, we shoot from the hip. So it's all about how we communicate with people. I just know that the best communicators go the furthest in life. Great leaders have good communication skills and understand how other people think. And we communicate in their style. So not everybody's the same. There's not a good, there's not a bad, there's not an ugly. There's not a right, there's not a wrong. It's not that every top leader is an ID. I know top leaders that are SCs that have done figured it out. They know if I'm not the funny person, if I can't make fun and enjoyment and energy at my meetings, I'm going to find an I to participate with me and let somebody else take part of that. That's not my thing, maybe. So, and if I'm all fun and enjoyment, I need somebody that's going to have some strategy here, that's going to have a plan of action that can say the process for doing this is step one, step two, step three. They're going to say those things so the people that are SCs in the audience are going to feel comfortable. Now, every leader, if you've ever done a panel at your meetings, I'm going to tell you, always pick a D, I, an S, and a C. So everybody in your audience knows there's someone that they can relate to. If everybody up there is the same behavioral style, people think they need to be you to be successful in the business, and that's not true. So I'm going to ask if you have any questions about what I've covered so far, throw it in the chat box, or just let me know and we'll go from there, because I want to make sure that I answer this. So I'm kind of looking through the pictures because for some reason Zoom tonight is not doing stop sharing. It will not let me stop sharing. So I'm sharing for the whole night like this. Sorry about that. Hi Gina, good to see you. See, Tara. Oh gosh, I got some more new people on here. I love that. Okay, so let's move forward. Questions based on personality style that move people to action. Some questions that we ask can actually offend, or somebody's going to think that we're mad at them when we're not at all. We just asked the question in a form that wasn't their style. So one of the most important things you can do in your communication is know who you're talking to. Like Grace and I have something that we have a meeting that's going to take place on Thursday. One of the first things she says is, what are the style of the people? I said, we got a double D. And I'm not talking about bra size, if you know what I mean. I said, we got this guy that's big D. And then his partner is an ass. And that's probably pretty interesting every day in that workforce. But anyway, I said, so which role do you want to take? So one of us will show up more D and the other one will show up more S. So we have a better conversation with better results for the people. So you can plan how you're going to talk to someone. If you're going out to dinner with somebody, or you're going to have a meeting with somebody, ask somebody that knows them, what would you say is their behavioral style? DISC is the most commonly used strategy in the direct selling space. You maybe have heard of birds or colors or flowers or animals. It's confusing to people. They don't know if they're a blue duck or a red penguin. So it's important to pick one thing and stay with it. That's why through all of our training, we use DISC. So let's talk about these questions based on personality style to move people into action. So a D question would be, what are you going to make happen next? Because they're a make it happen person. That's a D question. Or, by what date do you expect to have that completed? They're very direct. They like direct questions. For an I, if I said that, they would think I was mad probably. So I would say to an I, so how can you get that done and have fun in the process? Or what award are you looking to earn this month that you're working towards? They love awards and recognition. An S person, how can you enjoy that process more? How can you make this work around your family? How will you feel? They like feel words. How will you feel when you get this done? Now, by the way, I know I talk fast and say words at 50 per minute, gusts up to 50,000. So you're going to have this recording. Go back and fill in the blanks and listen again, because I don't know if we'll catch everything. But we have a limited amount of time, and I want to give you as much as I can during this time. So we had some S questions. C questions. What is the best process for you to have that happen? What is your first step? I know how important it is for you to be accurate. How are you going to ensure that accuracy? It says, I understand you, because we know accuracy is important to us. So those are things that are moving people forward. And if you've been in coach school or an elite or any of the other programs that we do, we always talk about coaching. We've got a lot of schools coming up, so go to the events page if you want to know more. But I'm going to tell you, questions are the answer. Questions are the answer to really being good at moving people into action. And they're not yes or no answers. Well, you ready to get started? Well, are you going to do that today? What do you do when they say no? That's not good. So your questions begin with who, what, when, where, or how. Who, what, when, where, or how. You start doing that, it's a whole different world when you move people into action. Because without action, there's no progress, folks. Sometimes we have conversations with people on our team, and that's exactly what it is. It's a conversation with no results. Because in coaching, there's a skill called agreed action and accountability. And that's where the person agrees to take an action and they're accountable for themselves. If you don't ask those kinds of questions, don't expect any results for that person or you. So it's an important facet of building the business is learning how to move people with different styles into action. So how to interact effectively with people that aren't like us. People like people who are like them. That's a natural thing. We just like people who are like us. And guess what? In this business, we have some people that are not like us at all. So if you want it to work and not turn into a fist fight, I've got to learn how to effectively connect with people and how to honor our differences. I come from a big family, so you're never going to know who's who in the zoo. But I do have a very large family. And I have a brother that is on the opposite end of the spectrum of who I am. Opposite. We're totally, totally different. And I communicate with him very differently than I do. I'm here in Atlanta with my sister, and she and I are almost exactly alike. We think alike. You never want to play games with us. I'm just telling you, we're really good. People think we cheat because we can read each other's minds because we know how we think. But my brother, I don't think like him at all. So I prepare myself before I go in to have a conversation with him with things to say and how to ask a question and how to keep him talking, because he would just say, yes, no, I don't think so. And there would be no conversation. So I really get myself in that mental space to be the best and most effective communicator I can with him, because he is absolutely nothing like me. So I try to think, how would he want to interact right now? What would make him feel valued right now? What would make him know that I'm understanding him? What would make him believe that I see him as whole and complete and not broken? Because if I show up being the best I can and speaking his language and his words, I know we will have a good conversation and he will get good results and we will get good results. But if I come in there and say, I know you're in a hurry and I know you've only got 5 minutes, so I'm just going to spit this whole thing out at you and I need an answer today, it's going to just throw him into a tizzy. It won't do any good. So I honor his time. I know how much time he has. If it's 5 minutes, I'll say, when would be a better time so we can have a conversation around this? I just know, and I don't know if any of you have aging parents, but boy, when you have an aging parent, sometimes siblings see things differently, and what's important they see differently. And it can be a bone of contention amongst families. And I don't want anything like that to ever happen to you. So this fits into all areas of your life. This isn't just for your business. This is every area of your life. How do you interact effectively? So first, listen to what they're saying. Ask a question and listen. How fast do they talk? What kind of words do they use? What are they wearing? What does their hair look like? And sometimes people do things like, I met a lady who had purple spiky hair and she was straight out C. And she said, I just decided I didn't want everybody to think I was so straight and stiff, so I did my hair purple. And now people think I'm more fun. I mean, I'm not saying don't go out and dye your hair purple. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just saying everybody kind of figures it out for themselves and what they're willing to do. So, how do you interact effectively? First, seek first to understand, then be understood. Understand them by listening to them. If you have a very fast pace and you're talking to someone that speaks at a very moderate pace, slow your pace down and you can gradually speed it up because when you're in rapport with them, they'll follow you. But if you never catch that rapport because you're not speaking in their style and using words that they use, you're probably not going to have very good interactions or very effective interactions with other people. So that's an important fact. Now, I'm looking in the chat box to see if anybody has any questions. Salmon BC was the last one that I had as a comment. So if nobody else has something, I'm moving on. Otherwise, you can put it in there. So let's take a look here at what's next. How to sponsor with ease. Anybody here would like to know how to sponsor with ease? Anybody want to bring more people into your team? Well, there are techniques to make that happen. That first thing I already said it, seek first to understand, then be understood. Don't come in with a ton of information and present to people. If you're presenting, you're not interacting. It's a one-sided conversation. That's why what I have is a career conversation with people. In a career conversation, two people are talking. Two people are talking. And the whole idea in today's sponsoring is not, I'm not doing all the talking. I'm asking a question. They're doing the talking. I'm listening and maybe responding to a question that they might have. I'm not dumping a ton of information because I don't know what they're looking for. So one of the first things is, what brought you to meet with me today? You're going to find out something about their behavioral style. They say, oh, I thought it'd be fun. You sound like a fun person. I'm probably dealing with an I. If they said, I want to know if there's any truth to how this business works, probably a D or a C. A C would probably say, I want to know if this is a pyramid scheme right out of the gate. You know, or they ask different. The S's say, I just want to know if there's a way maybe I could do this and still be a stay-at-home mom and be with my kids. And then you go, oh, you're going to love it because you can make millions of dollars. No, it's not like that. Today's person does not want to be sold and told. They want to be engaged. So sponsoring with ease is when you have rapport with them. That's the first step of sponsoring, having rapport, asking questions and listening to understand them. That's another big step here. Because when you take the time to really understand them, the chances that they are going to tell you more about themselves increase dramatically. The more you know about that person and what's important to them, the better the opportunity to really be effective in communicating with them. Now, I watch people, and it's so bizarre to me. Some of you know I go to coffee shops and I have 1 cup of coffee a day because I'm scary with 2. It's frightening with 1, scary with 2. So I don't drink a lot of coffee. I can be hyper. But I go in there and I listen. I meet people there and I watch what other people are doing. And people come in with their little presentation notebooks and they present at people versus wanting to understand to see how they can serve them. That's a big key in sponsoring, is how can I be of support to you? That's what it's really about. How do you see your life fitting in? Or this business fitting in around your life? That's a great ask question. How do you see this business fitting in around your current life and your family? If it was a D question, what would be important to you to accomplish in this business? If it was an I question, what do you love best about awards and incentives? What would be a great award for you? Because they love that. C's, what facts or information do you currently know about our company? What else would be important for you to know? Now, this is a key little phrase here. You might want to write it down. What else would you like to know This next part fits with anything, so that you can have so that you can make the best decision for you and your family. So that you can make the decision that's best for you and your family. You're not going to make that decision for them. They've got to make it for themselves. So, and at the end of the conversation, when I hear people say, "Well, I'd really like to, think about this." Well, why do you need to think about it? You got all the facts. Just sign up now. No. How much time would be the best for you to make the most effective decision for yourself and your family? The best decision for yourself and your family. How much time would that be for you? So you're honoring them. To sponsor, you are honoring people finding out what's important to them, and what this business does is give them what they want. What I love about direct selling is it's for all different kinds of people. It's not one kind of person, all different kinds of people. But we don't know who they are unless we've asked a few questions and talked to them long enough and really listened, and didn't try to rush on to the next thing and rush on to the next thing and try to get them to do what we want them to do. See, even if they don't come into the business, you still have 3 ways to work together. We have 3 ways to work together. First way is, you told me you love the products. I'd like to be your personal shopper. Second way for us to work together, you may know someone who would enjoy having an additional $100, $500, $5,000 or more per month coming into the household. Keyword there was enjoy, not need. Third way for us to work together is, who do you know that would benefit? Or who do you know that would love these products? So referral. There's a lot of different ways they can still work with you, versus if they don't sign up today, you're out of here, baby. That's not it. Keep them close. Let them know that you care. Let them know that they're a person, that you understand them. I just talked to somebody today that I've only met one time, but I remember what she'd told me about an illness that one of her children had. And I asked her, "How's he doing?" She said, "I can't believe you remembered that." I try to write things down too. I just use my calendar, and I put notes in my calendar with their names. So when I go back to the name, I can find whatever we talked about before. But I'm going to tell you what, when you really remember people and you ask about their family, they really believe you care. It's not a transaction. This sponsoring somebody is not just a transaction, folks. It's a connection if it's done right. So whatever you can do to make people feel you notice them, you care about them, you're here for them, you're interested in them, you want to serve them, you want them to get what they want out of this. All of that makes sponsoring a whole lot easier, versus you're in or you're out. You've heard me talk about the hunter and the farmer. The hunter goes, you shoot them down, gotcha, and you bring them in. The farmer plants seeds, waters, nurtures. Sometimes it's years before they know you're the right person to be in business with. Just show people you care. Take the time to do that. So sponsoring with ease is a learned skill, folks. If you're having trouble with sponsoring, and I'm going to say this to you too, if you're having a lot of objections, it probably means you're making a lot of statements. Because see, people can object to whatever statement you make. We're the number one, healthcare program out there in the United States. Oh, well, I read this company was really the number one. You might be number 5, but you're not the highest on they can argue with you. If you ask a question, people do not argue with their own statements. So when you want to sponsor more with these, you've got to ask more questions, and then listen, figure out their style, and go from there. Here's a couple of questions in the chat box. She says, "My dentist does that. Phenomenal customer service. He remembers things about you. How are your kids doing? You were out going on a trip last time." And maybe his secretary told him right before he walked in there, but he let you know he cared about you as a person, not just your teeth, which is a wonderful thing. So if you've already communicated with the person in the wrong style, is there a way to go back to correct the initial connection? Absolutely. It's not forever and always that you're an outcast because you use the wrong language with them. And I don't want to say this is I'm not going to say there's a right or a wrong. There's just better. Everybody gets better results when you use the language of that person. So you can go back to them and come at them in a different direction. I was thinking about the last time we talked, and I kind of was in a hurry and I was pretty direct. I really want to get to know you. Tell me about you, and just slow it down and see what happens. People understand. They're okay. Nobody's gonna put you on the poop list for life. They won't, I promise. So sponsoring with ease. You're going to learn to delegate more effectively. Now, I'm going to tell you something. D's do not want to be told what to do. So if you say to a D, I really need to have you be the greeter tonight, they're probably already ticked before it got to be that time. They don't want you to tell them that they need to be the greeter. You're not their boss. Nobody came into this business to have a boss. And D's particularly, they don't want a boss. They want to be their own boss. So we can't be telling them what to do. You might say, Susan, what would be, how would you like to participate in the meeting tonight? I'd like to have you get some attention. I'd like people to get to know who you are. Well, how would you like to participate? That's up to her then. She might say, I don't want to participate. Or she might say, oh, I'd like to train on this because I'm very good at that. But if you said to her, I need him to be the greeter, she's thinking, Whereas an I loves to greet, but we want them to stretch themselves a little bit more. So that would be what I'd ask an I. You're so good with people, And I was thinking about tonight's meeting. How can we get the most attention for you so people know what a fabulous person you are, and for you to have some fun and them to have fun too? What would you like to do? And they'll tell you with an S. Where will you be the most comfortable in participating in tonight's meeting? Comfort's important to an S. They don't want to be thrown out there, and they would rather be behind the scenes. The C. I know that you're so good with finances, and you certainly could take the money at the door, or or take signups or whatever. I know you're very good at that. What would be a stretch for you? There was something else that was a little bit of a stretch for you. What would that be? See what they say. They might say, I'm not ready to do anything else. I'm good with the money. I don't want to do anything else. Okay, well, let's do it like that for a while, then come back with it again at another time. So delegate. And by the way, your children, very few families have a whole family of one style. Very few families. My daughter's family has all styles, everyone. And so how we speak to them is very differently. Like Anuhea. Anuhea is a bling bling. Anything that's bright and shiny object and has sparkles on it is all her. She loves that stuff. So a way to get her to get something done, I'll do your nails with your favorite sparkly polish. She loves that. But if I did that with one of the other kids, wouldn't make a difference at all. So we want to delegate where are their strengths and what is a stretch for them. That's always good to come back. What would be a stretch? Coach with better results. When you understand behavioral styles, you will be a better coach. It just happens. And everyone will get better results. Because again, you're speaking their language. You're using words that they use that are important to them. You're talking about the different approaches to things that matter. So I know with an S, they're more sensitive, more feeling, and they can sometimes read things into things that maybe that wasn't what you meant at all. That's why coaching or going back and forth on email, it sometimes doesn't work very well because all you have to work with are the words, and that's only 7% of the message. So they can misinterpret things. Adding a smiley face or adding a little bit of color or something that makes them see that there's a lighter side to what you're saying will help with that. And Julia says, I have 7 kids and they are all very different. Aren't you blessed? It'd be kind of boring to have them all be the same. It's nice that they're different. And when I was a kid, I have a big family, and some of them are like geniuses. They're very, very smart people. So I thought I wasn't smart because I wasn't like them. And I went to my mom to talk to her. And one really beautiful thing that she said to me was, Nikki, don't try to be somebody else. Just be yourself. So, what are your strengths? And by the way, if you ask somebody that question and they can't come up with an answer, somebody that knows you well, how would they describe your strengths? And they can maybe come up with the answer. And I said, Mom, my strength is with people. I love people. She says, well, make that your life work. And it's so funny because my sister Connie and I were talking about something today, and this little bluebird came up to the window and was tapping on the window. And every time we see a bluebird, we think Mom's checking in on us. So there she was, but it was like, that's how she saw the world. It was like, be the best you can be with who you are. You don't have to be somebody else. Here, this is Jackie says, I probably use emojis too much. I love emojis. If I'm talking to a D, back off on the emojis and the fluorescent colors and the great big type and then the little type and the pictures and the gifs. And the D is starting to go, oh, I got to get out of here. Save this for later. So you speak their language in email too. It's not just in person. Okay, so and here's another hint. I have a lot of D in me too. So sometimes I just want to get that thought out of me when I'm sending an email to somebody. I just type it in there, blah, 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 blah. And then I go back, oh, they might think I'm upset if they read that. It was just very direct. So I'll go back and say, well, how's your day going? And I'll throw that in. Then I'll put, well, blessings and aloha at the end. So there's softness around it so it doesn't scare them to death when they open it up, because we can do that without even realizing that we're doing it. So when you coach people, be aware of your voice. Very aware of your voice. A coaching voice is a much gentler voice than a training voice. Much gentler. And your voice pitch, speed, and tonality, you want it to match the person you're coaching. So the first time I ever had a coach, he was a DC and a brilliant man. It just took him forever to ask me a question. I was going to take a nap in there. And so then I just said, are you there? Are you there? Did you hang up on me? Did the call drop? Where are you? Because he wasn't asking me another question. And then, what he said to me? It was so powerful. He said, Nikki, if you give me a minute to think about the best question to ask you to give you the best results, it's going to be a much bigger win for you. I said, take your time. I could do my nails. I could do anything while I was waiting for him. But you got to know that whoever you're coaching, you got to have some sort of rapport with that person. And so speed it up. If that person talks a little faster, we got to think a little faster. If they speak a little slower, we're going to slow it down. And we're going to use gentler words with those S's. And with the I's, you've got to bring fun into it and excitement. And, well, what's exciting that's happening in your week this week? That's a great way to start it off, because they love to talk about what's exciting. And the S is, what was the best thing that happened for you this week? And the D's, where was your biggest win this week? And the C's, what did you think was your best interaction with people this week? So different. It's called just being aware. And especially, I'm going to tell you this, with your partners in life, we're coming up on our 50th wedding anniversary. That's a long time to know somebody. And we still love each other. It's pretty interesting. And we still think we're fun. We still like doing things together, hanging out and all that. Well, he adjusts for me and I adjust for him. I don't lose myself in that. And he doesn't lose himself in that. We just know that that's the best way to communicate with one another. It's called putting a little effort into the relationship. Because sometimes we forget that. We get too familiar and it doesn't always work in that. And even with our kids, same thing. So coach with better results. You adjust your voice. You adjust your pitch, your speed, your tonality. You adjust your word choices. You're going to be a better coach. And everybody gets better results. So supporting your team for future growth. Right now, take a look at your organization. See if you can guess what these people are that are on your team. If you look around your organization, you have a whole lot of eyes. Probably nobody learned how to coach or recruit or sponsor anybody but an eye. They didn't know how to adjust. So look at your organization. Is it balanced? Do you have a little bit of everything? Now, I would say you're not going to get a lot of C's in a company that doesn't have science behind it or something, or people that just want to get out of their cubicle and do something totally different. The C's are a little more particular about the type of company that they go into. The I's, it better be fun or you're not going to get them. The D's, they got to see that they're going to make money. They got to see that they can move up to the top. That's one of the questions they'll ask you is, well, how do I get to the top? How do I get to where you are? Look how I said that. How do I get to where you are? Very direct. So don't promise somebody, well, all you got to do is, sell this much. But don't promise them. Just say, you know what, this business, if I was talking to D, I would say, this business is not easy. It's a career. It's work. It's simple, duplicatable process to stay with it and to work through the things and learning how to work with all different kinds of people. That's what it's going to take. And it's not get rich quick, it's create wealth over time. And how much time that takes is up to you. To a D, I would definitely say, how much time are you willing to commit to your business? And well, I have 15 minutes on Thursdays. I would never say to that person, oh, come on in, we'll take care of you. No, never. But you got to tell them the real deal because they will not appreciate it later. So support your team for future growth. Notice, celebrate in their manner. Eyes like to be up in front of the room. You stop giving awards like just for top sales and top recruiting. That's all you're recognizing. It's not easy for an S to keep coming to those meetings because they go, I'll never be that top in sales. They may count themselves out before they count themselves in. You start to give a courage award or a stretch award or an award for kindness, or tenacity. Think of some other things that you can do that will have more people feel like a winner. How they feel when they're around you, how they feel when they're in the presence of other people on the team matters for them to want to stick it out, to stay through the hard times. Because it's easy to walk away. It is very easy to walk away from this business. And we work too hard to bring somebody in and work with them to have them leave because they were offended by what we said or did or didn't say or do. We've got to really put some effort into all of that. Here, congratulations, Marilyn. 56 years coming up. Somebody has 54 years. Francine for us. And we also still love each other, although we are and think so differently. Well, you figured it out. So we'd love to hear from you, Francine. So isn't this interesting? We just have so many great people on this call. As always, that's what I love about this. So, and I know we're coming up on our time here. So I want to make sure I tell you about what's the next thing that you can come into. Register today for the mini course. It's March 23rd and 30th. Get your whole team there. It's only $69. And it's Disc for Life. It's all about how you use DISC in every aspect of your life. And with that, you're going to get an assessment, a positive profile assessment that's going to come with that you take before the class. So you're going to really understand yourself and get little bits of information that will support you to adjust your own style a little bit for other people, which is really good. You just go to dswa.org/life to find that. And I wanted to also let you know, let's see if I can stop. Oh, it worked this time. I hit the stop and it worked. So I'm excited about that too. So dswa.org/events has all kinds of events on there that are coming up and you can go look at that too. I see Dawn knows our company so well. Dawn, would you please type into that box dswa.org/events so that they can see that and go back and take a look And the other one was dswa.org/life, I think. Was that what it was? Somebody that saw it, type that one in the box so that they have that. Now, I'm going to be here for questions that you might have, thoughts that you might have, something that wasn't clear to you, or if somebody is frustrated with something, or you want to be coached around something. I'm going to stay on because I like to finish on time for those that are direct, decisive doers and want it to be to the exact. I will finish on time, but I'm also available for those that want to go further. So I'm all yours. Anybody have a comment, question, or a thought? Either
I do.
Yes.
Sorry, and I actually going to have to head. I have a meeting at 7 in 3 minutes. But quick question:
Yes,
how
Gina.
can we combine what the information that we have with the DISC personalities with also the multi-generational personalities? Because
Say that last thing again. I'm sorry, I missed that. Say the last thing.
Multi-generational, like
yes,
the different age also brings in not only a different personality, but also a different way of thinking altogether.
Yes, yes.
So how would you combine this?
One, it is important to know who you're talking to, and also different cultures, because different cultures use certain words and don't, and they can be offensive if you used a word in the wrong manner. So you don't want to do that. First of all, know who you're talking to. Now, you don't want to say, "How old are you? You sound so young." People, we maybe, if we're on the phone, maybe you don't want to say how old we are. They can see you, they can take a guess, you can get an idea. So what is going to be important to a 22-year-old is probably very different than somebody that's 60. So I probably would not be talking about, retirement or, the stability of the company or the longevity of the company to a 22-year-old. I wouldn't, because they are looking for what's fun, how can I make some money, how often do I get paid, what do I need to do to make that happen? Their things are different. So I would definitely, with somebody that was not in my same age group, is to say, what's the most important for you to take away from our time together today? And let them tell you that. So age is a different thing. Yes, so true. Age makes a difference. I always hated getting an email greeting. Hey guys, me and the old lady in the bunch. If somebody told me that one time, because I used to say that to people, I'd say, well, guys, what we want to do. And some women were very offended by that. So somebody was kind enough to let me know that wasn't a good word to use. And I stopped using it pretty much. I don't do it very often. I could certainly slip, but I try not to. So finding out what is important to them. I'm going to assume if somebody is in their 60s, looking more how they can work this business around their retirement, or maybe they're single and gone through a divorce and they're looking for a way to support themselves, and they want to know that they can do that, the security factor. So it's a lot of awareness. I don't put all this combined though, because sometimes it's hard enough for people just to figure out their DISC style, and then that's why we teach them how to coach. We do all these different things. That is a lot to think about. I tell you, the most important thing to think about when you're with people, being respectful of them.
Yeah, I think that's the main one, being respectful of them. But thank you so much, Nicki, because I had that doubt. I've been hearing about this, and I've been hearing about the different ethnicity and multi-generational. And I think there's a lot of information.
There is. On the app, I think we have something that we did, how to engage people of different generations. Go see if you can find that. If you can't find it, write to membership at dswa.org, and Renee will send it to you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you,
It was
Nicki.
a great recording. You're welcome. Anybody else? Okay, bye-bye. Anybody else, raise your hand if you have a question or a thought or something you need clarity on. I have to go. Very interesting call. Thank you, Miriam. I'm glad that you were here. Anybody else? You can type it into the box, or you can ask the question by unmuting yourself. This person says she's been confused by DISC, and you made it much clearer. I'm so glad. And there's also a great book on the DSWA website in our store. I didn't write this book. It is a good book, though. I think it's the best one that's out there. He was my teacher in all the advanced training that I did. It's called Positive Personality Profile. Positive Personality Profile. You go to the store, dswa.org/store, just put in positive or put in personality and it'll come up. And if you get that and read it, it'll be very, very supportive to you. Anybody else? A question, comment? Hannah joined us. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you. Anybody else with a question, comment, or a thought?
Just a comment that often, well, having gone through the whole work experience from young and finally retiring, is I've changed into different areas on that disc. I wasn't the same from the beginning to the end. So it's quite a change in how we grow, as well moves us around that wheel.
It's so important, and thank you, Cece, for that thought, because you see, circumstances also cause us to have our behavioral style shift a little bit. Like I have somebody that works for me. When her husband was deployed, I knew the first day. She went to a D, a big D. And other times there's people that, that maybe they went through a divorce. They went through divorce, they had more D, came up. They needed to take a handle on what was going on. Or, maybe somebody retired and it wasn't so serious anymore. Their eye came up. So you can have your style come up for a lot of different reasons. Death, empty nester, birth of a child. There's tons of reasons. That's why you really want to look at this every year. Really take a look at it. And when in that class, when you take that profile, that'll give you some good ideas, but we also show the environmental and who you basically are, because environment can be different than the basic you. So you'll get that too when you take that assessment. It's worth it for that. Anybody else? This is your chance. I'm all yours. I'm not going anywhere. But now I know how all you Easterners feel. It's almost 10. It's 10 o'clock at night. See, when I call from Hawaii, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's just fabulous. Now I know how you all feel this time of night. These are baguettes. That's what I say. I got my baguettes going on now. So anybody else?
Yes, Nicki.
Yes.
It's me, Francine. On the 23rd and 30th, at what time is it? Is it during the evening, all day?
It's in the evening. It's and I think it's an hour or an hour and a half. Go to, let's see if I can show it here. Let me see if I can show it to you. It's on the DSWA page. If you go to dswa.org/events, that's where you'll find all the details. dswa.org/events, you'll see it on that page.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And I believe it's in the evening.
And every time I see you, you always look younger and younger.
Francine, it's been a long time since I've seen you. Thank you so much.
Well, in 2018.
Yes, that's too many years. We hope we're going to get to see you again soon.
Yes.
Thank you, Francine. Anyone else? Questions, comments, thoughts, something you'd like to be coached around? Hi, Nicki. I haven't seen you in a long time either. You're coming in on the end of this, but you'll get the recording. Anyone else? I'm not scary. I'm just going to tell you that. I'm not scary. Oh, it was 8 to 9 Eastern time is what it says. Oh, look at that. Marnie, you got the stuff up there. You just are right on it. 8 to 9 Eastern time for both of those. By posting web pages, I'm showing my personality. Love you. Where is she, Marnie? Where are you? I want to see you. You're right. I can't see you, but I can tell. You're right. You're getting all the information to the people. I love you for that. Thank you so much. Anyone else? I see your lips moving, Francine, but I can't hear one word out of your mouth. I don't know if you're just talking to yourself.
Oh, I was reading.
Oh, okay, good. 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern, 5/11, 8:30, 7. What is this? 5/11/22. 8:30 p.m. I don't know what that one is, where it's 4:27 at 7 p.m. US Eastern. Oh, that's when it ends. So it's an hour and a half class. That's why it says that. It starts at 7 on the 27th, and the last class it ends at 8:30, but it's 7 to 8:30. So it's an hour and a half class for both of them. So that's a really good deal. And I think you'll agree, especially with the assessment. Even if you've had the assessment before, it's going to be good for you because it probably is different depending on where you are in your life. Anybody else? I'm just so happy that you're part of us and that you came tonight, and hopefully you got something that you can use it in your life. And just know all of us at DSWA are really here in support of you, want you to be successful. Just don't be afraid to jump in, and don't be afraid to ask a question or to ask for support, because that's what we're really here for. So I hope I see you, because we're going to live events again. People are starting to hold them again. So I hope I get to see you at one of your conventions or conferences or something that you as a leader are hosting for your group. We'd love to do either live or virtual. So thanks, everyone. I'll check the chat box one more time, see if there's anything else. Please come to Las Vegas. No, Australia. To Australia. I can't wait to start coming back to Australia. I was going twice a month, every month forever. And let's see. Oh, come back to Squim. Squim, Washington. Who is that? Marnie, are you from Squim, Washington? That was a long time ago that I was there. I was there actually working with teachers. Isn't that funny? And nobody knew I knew what Squim was. That was a new piece of information for the night. So thanks, everybody. Take care. Have a blessed evening. Hope we get to see you again next time. Every month we do this, a free one every single month. Bye-bye.